American philosophy is not dusty books in university basements. These are ideas that have changed laws, schools, and entire lives. In an hour, we'll go from puritanical corals to a pragmatic revolution and collect the top 20 sayings that really work. Let's go. In this video, let's look at where philosophy comes from in the United States, what transcendentalism and pragmatism are, why the ideas of John Dewey and William James live in schools and startups, and what modern thought says about justice and identity. At the end, there are 20 phrases for all occasions. Part 1. Early roots, the Puritans, the Enlightenment, and the American Dawn. America was born not only as a colony, but also as a project of ideas. The first settlers, the Puritans, brought to the New World strict religiosity and the belief that life should be built around common values. They believed that their community was a city on a hill, an example for the whole world. But along with this belief, the idea of personal responsibility arose. Each person is responsible to God himself, and his choice matters. These foundations overlapped with the ideas of the European Enlightenment. John Locke spoke about the rights of the individual and that power should exist only to protect freedom and property. In America, these ideas have become especially loud. Thomas Jefferson wrote about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not as beautiful words, but as a principle of society. Benjamin Franklin, in turn, showed philosophy in action. His aphorisms are the quintessence of pragmatism even before this word came into use. Investments in knowledge bring the best percentage. He thought simply, if an idea doesn't work in practice, then why is it needed? And next to it is the figure of Jonathan Edwards, an 18th-century Puritan theologian. He combined religious feelings and deep reflections on free will. Edwards said that a person, even if he is part of the divine plan, is still responsible for his choice. This created the cultural ground for the future American emphasis on individualism. So, even before America became a country in the political sense, it was already a country of philosophy of action, practical, personal, coming from conscience and reason at the same time. Part 2. Transcendentalism, Emerson and Thoreau. The 19th century brought America the first independent philosophical school, Transcendentalism. Its center was the city of Concord, and its leader was Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson said that the main thing is to listen to your inner voice. Do not blindly follow traditions or other people's expectations, but find the source of truth in yourself. His famous thought, being yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else, is the greatest achievement. This is both a challenge to society and a great faith in man. For Emerson, nature was not only a landscape, but a revelation. He believed that by going out into the woods, a person could feel like a part of a larger whole. And at the same time, to gain personal strength. His friend and student, Henry David Thoreau, went even further. He retreated to a cabin by Lake Walden to prove that life can be lived simply, freely, and consciously. In his book Walden, he described the joy of simplicity and independence. But Thoreau's most audacious idea is the essay, Civil Disobedience. He argued that if the law is unfair, a citizen has the right and duty to violate it. These words inspired Gandhi and Martin Luther King a century later. Thoreau showed that philosophy is not an abstract thought, but an instruction on life, on the struggle for justice. The Transcendentalists believe that each person has his own light, his own truth. And that listening to this light is more important than obeying the usual rules. Their ideas helped America to believe that freedom is not a privilege, but an internal necessity. Part 3. Pragmatism, Philosophy of Action. In the second half of the 19th century, America gave the world a new philosophical revolution, pragmatism. Unlike in Europe, where they argued about eternal truths, Americans asked, what's the use of truth if it doesn't work? Charles Sanders Peirce spoke first. He said, truth is not an absolute that has fallen from the sky, but the result of a long study. If over time all independent minds come to the same conclusion, that will be the truth. That is, truth is a process, not a ready-made answer. This idea was developed by William James, a philosopher and psychologist. He said that the value of an idea lies in its consequences. A belief that changes your behavior makes sense. If a thought helps you act and improves your life, then it works. His famous phrase, "Act as if your deeds matter." They have. James understood that sometimes faith creates facts. Being sure that you're capable makes you capable. The third pillar of pragmatism is John Dewey. For him, philosophy was primarily pedagogy. He said, "School is not a preparation for life, school itself is life. Education should be active, you can only learn by doing." Democracy, according to Dewey, is not an abstract principle, but a living practice of everyone's participation. Pragmatism has changed the face of American culture. He made philosophy a tool, not a museum exhibit. Since then, the main question has been not, is it true, but what does it change? Part 4. The XX century and beyond, analytics, justice and criticism. The 20th century in American philosophy is a time of branching and new fields of struggle. On the one hand, a strict analytical tradition has emerged. Philosophers like Quine and Donald Davidson analyzed language and logic, and sought to bring philosophy closer to science. For them, the truth is something that can be verified, clarified, and proved. On the other hand, philosophy went into social and political issues. In 1971, John Rawls published the book The Theory of Justice. She proposed a famous experiment: imagine that you choose the structure of society, but you do not know who you will find yourself in it, rich or poor, strong or weak. From this veil of ignorance, people would choose fair rules. Rawls argued that justice is the first virtue of social institutions. But not everyone agreed. Robert Nozick proposed a different line: the main thing is individual rights, and they should not be violated for the common good. He defended the libertarian idea of freedom even at the expense of equality. At the same time, new voices were gaining strength: feminist philosophy, critical theory of race, and cultural criticism. Judith Butler destroyed the idea of an unchanging gender identity. Cornel West said, "Justice is what love looks like in public life." These ideas expanded the picture. Philosophy became not only an analysis of truth, but also a conversation about power, identity, justice for all. This is how American thought entered the 21st century: strict, bold, and incredibly diverse. Part 5. Top 20 Wise Sayings of American Thinkers. 1. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Being yourself in a world that is trying to make you different is the greatest achievement. Emerson warned, society will always push, persuade and adjust to standards. But the true value of a person is to preserve his uniqueness. In today's world full of templates and social media, it sounds like a challenge: take a chance on being yourself, even if it's inconvenient for others. 2. Henry David Thoreau. The best government is the one that governs less. Thoreau believed that excessive government intervention makes people weaker. He wrote this in the essay, Civil Disobedience, when he refused to pay a tax that supported slavery and war. His idea is simple: real freedom is possible where power is limited and citizens act responsibly. 3. Benjamin Franklin. Investments in knowledge bring the best percentage. Franklin was a man of practice, but also a great sage. He understood, money can burn, houses can collapse, but knowledge stays with you and helps you rise again. Today, this phrase is about books, education, and the ability to learn new things, which makes a person resilient in any crisis. 4. William James. Act as if your deeds matter. They have. James' philosophy is a belief in the power of action. Even a small act can change the course of events. Sometimes it seems that we are too small to influence the world. But it's James who reminds you that your choice always has consequences, even if you don't see them right away. 5. John Dewey. Education is not a preparation for life, education is life itself. For Dewey, school is not boring desks and exams, but the workshop of the future society. Learning should not be separated from life, because we learn every day, in work, in communication, in mistakes. It is a reminder that learning is an endless process. 6. Jonathan Edwards. True freedom is the opportunity to follow what you love. Edwards combined religiosity and philosophy. For him, freedom was not limited to doing what I want. Freedom is when the heart and mind coincide, and you choose a path that benefits both you and the world. It's about inner honesty. 7. John Rawls. Justice is the first virtue of social institutions. Rawls said, "The state can be rich, educated, and technologically advanced, but if there is no justice in it, all this loses its meaning." His idea makes you wonder, what is more valuable, efficiency or honesty? He always gave the same answer: justice is more important. 8. Robert Nozick. Individuals have rights, and there are things that cannot be done to them without violating those rights. Nozick argued with Rawls and said that no public interest justifies the violation of human freedom. Even if society becomes richer, this is not a reason to take away someone's work, freedom, or choice. His thought is a reminder that individual rights are above collective benefits. 9. Cornel West. Justice is what love looks like in public life. West combined philosophy with preaching. His phrase sounds like a bridge between the personal and the public. Love for one's neighbor is not only a feeling, but also a policy: fair laws, honest relationships, caring for the weak. Without it, love turns into an empty word. 10. Judith Butler. We become who we are recognized for. Butler showed that identity is not a fixed fact, but a process. We are formed in dialogue with society. This thought can be frightening, but also liberating. If an identity is created, it can be reinterpreted. 11. Benjamin Franklin. Time is money. A phrase that has become almost a proverb. But Franklin's speech was not about greed, but about respect for one's own work. Those who waste time lose their opportunities. Today it is a reminder to value every day as an investment in the future. 12. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Trust yourself, every heart vibrates in unison with this string. Emerson believed that everyone has an inner source of strength. But often we drown it out with other people's opinions. His advice: listen to your heart, and you will find people who will respond. 13. Henry David Thoreau. Most people live a quiet life of despair. Thoreau saw that many people get stuck in routine, in imposed roles, and don't even try to live the way they want. His words are not a reproach, but a challenge: dare to break out of this silence, look for your Walden. 14. William James. My first and main faith is the belief that the world is worth living in. For James, philosophy has always had a practical outcome. If you believe that life is worth it, you find the strength to fight. His words sound like a recipe against despair: start with the most basic faith. 15. John Dewey. Democracy is not a form of government, but a form of life. Dewey reminded, democracy lives not only in elections, but in daily cooperation, in respect for each other, in the ability to hear. This is not a regime, but a habit, the habit of dialogue. 16. Thomas Jefferson. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words entered the Declaration of Independence and became the heart of the American idea. Jefferson argued that happiness is not a privilege, but a right. No one can take away your desire for him. 17. Charles Sanders Peirce. An idea becomes true if it stands up to the test of experience. Peirce was destroying the illusion of absolute truths. He said, truth is something that works in reality, which is confirmed by practice. His thought is the basis of the scientific method and the philosophy of pragmatism. 18. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr., Supreme Court Justice. The life of the law is not logic, but experience. Holmes understood, laws are born not in textbooks, but in real collisions of people. His phrase is a warning: justice cannot be put on paper, it must be tested by the practice of life. 19. Margaret Fuller, the Transcendentalist. Today, women need peace, not war, equality, not mercy. Fuller was one of the first American feminists. Her words are a cry that equality should not be a charity from above, but a natural right. This resonates with modern discussions about justice and dignity. 20. William James. Be prepared to act as if what you do matters. Because it has. This thought is so strong that it deserves to be repeated. James taught that life is not an auditorium where we just watch. We are always involved, even in small things. Any movement we make leaves a mark. And in conclusion, American philosophy was born from a mixture of faith and practice, freedom and responsibility. She taught me that ideas should work. They must change lives, schools, laws, and destinies. Emerson and Thoreau gave us the voice of freedom. James and Dewey, philosophy of action. Rawls and his critics are a debate about justice that continues today. Each quote from this video can become your personal rule. Try to choose one and apply it in the next few days. After all, philosophy does not live in books, but in our actions. The history of American philosophy teaches us not just to think, but to live. These ideas, these words, these wise voices of the past resound today, because they relate to the eternal, freedom, justice, the search for truth and meaning. And now it's your turn. Which of the things you heard touched you? What seemed to be the most important thought for our time? Write in the comments. Let's continue this conversation together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss new stories and new ideas that inspire. Share this video with your friends, because wisdom works best when it is shared. Thank you for being with us. See you in the next videos.